European approach to AI. Delve into a European perspective on the technological, ethical, and socio-economic implications of AI development. Time to dig in. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first conference of the day, the AI and Blockchain Regulation Conference, hosted by E&S Group. Welcoming remarks. Eric van der Klee, C4DR.
Good morning.
Beverly Tonna, Blockchain Advisory.
Good morning, Beverly.
Good morning, Eric.
Moderated by Max Studennikov, CCF.
Hold on, Max. We'll invite you up in just a second. Wait for the music to stop. It's polite. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Malta AI and Blockchain Summit. Are you all as excited as we are?
Okay, don't worry. It's early. Apparently, one or two people had a couple of drinks last night. Malta is renowned for its hospitality, so we'll give you time to warm up. But what can we expect today?
So today is going to be jam-packed with activities, conferences, a lot of very high-profile speakers, everything you expect of the Malta AI and Blockchain Summit. I'd like to introduce Eric, my co-chair. I haven't known Eric for a very long time. However, what I did hear is that through his Bitcoin earnings, he managed to pay for 3 weddings. So he must have been doing well in this.
They were not my weddings. They were my daughter's weddings, I hasten to add. But it also makes me one of the first people in the UK to pay tax on Bitcoin profit. That's quite hard to do, I can tell you, when I had to do that. And I was delighted to meet you because I know the firm that you work for. Beverly works for one of the smartest law firms in this space and really can tell the difference between what's written in a smart contract and what's written in the white paper. So if you have any questions about that and the VFA regulations, please see Beverly and her colleagues.
Thank you. So shall we invite Rick over?
So the thing about conferences like this, they do not happen without the people behind the conferences. So please, would you put your hands together and welcome Rick and Max, the organizers behind today's conference. Please put your hands together and welcome them on stage.
Hello, good morning, guys. My name is Rick Goddard. I am the CCO of the AI Blockchain Malta Summit. First of all, I'd like to welcome you all. I hope today and tomorrow is a huge success, and you all get out of what it is, what you've come here for, your meetings, networkings, and getting the most out of what we expect of our organized conferences for you. I would just like to sort of, like I say, thank all the organizers, the Hilton, all of the team that made all this happen over the next couple of days, and just sort of say thank you on behalf of myself, for you guys especially. The AIBC is part of the Sigma Group, which I'm sure you're all aware of. Our aim, our focus is we work very, very closely with the Maltese government, supporting their needs, supporting their wants, on creating a model for these technologies. And obviously, I'm sure you've noticed this year, if you was with us last year in November, we have implemented AI technology along with blockchain, both fast-moving technologies. We both we feel that they should join together very closely for the markets, and we hope that you enjoy what we've got on offer for you, okay? I'm going to introduce you over to Max. We're working obviously in partnership with CC Forum. Very privileged to have them with us. They've been a great support, a great asset to us, and I'd like to introduce you to the CEO, and he's going to introduce himself.
Okay. Thanks very much indeed. thanks to all of you who come together today, and thanks for our sponsors. Let me just tell you a few things about the history of our cooperation, how it actually worked out. We put on CC Forum London last year, as some of you attending here might know, at the end of October, and we were then invited by some of the senior people from the Malta High Commission to do something of the same caliber here in Malta. I was personally introduced to Honourable Prime Minister. We had a meeting with Honourable Service Cambury. They all gave green light for it. And we set about organising the conference. And at some point in time, we were approached by the Chief Executive Officer and founder of Malta AI and Blockchain Summit, Eman Poulis. We discussed the possibility of cooperation, and after 3 weeks of long negotiations, we decided to go together because we've been looking for a partner who would have a solid foot on the Maltese sort of soil ground. And this is how it ended up having this joint edition. Obviously, Eman owns the show, and he's the lead organizer, but we contributed to the extent we could, bringing the top speakers and contents, as Rick has rightly pointed out. I hope you'll enjoy, all of you, today's and tomorrow's events, and will benefit everybody from it.
Thank you very much, Max. And also, I know Max just mentioned it briefly. I just want to say a huge thank you to all the sponsors. Please go and visit every one of the sponsors' stands. This kind of content doesn't come to you without them, so make sure you visit all of them.
Just to round off, we'll be welcoming all of you in London at the end of October this year as well, because we're anchored there. CC Forum, Blockchain, AI and Digital Innovation, Central Hall, Westminster, London. Rooms far.
That is it. The clock is up. We've had our time. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Max. Thank you, Beverly. Actually, you're going to see more from Beverly in a moment, but we'll head off the stage because they have to play the jingles. We'll get the hang of these changeovers, and we'll be back with you shortly.
Delve into a European perspective on the technological, ethical, and socio-economic implications of AI development. Time to dig in. Ludovic Baudin, Calibrio Capital. Wayne Grishti, Malta Digital Innovation Authority. Mariella Baldacchino, E&S Group. Lydia Barbara, Digital Isle of Man. Moderated by Beverly Tonna, Blockchain Advisory.
So, good morning, everyone. And we have 4 very, very smart panelists with us here today. And the topic, as you know, is a European approach to AI. We're all from the EU here, but we have specific specializations in the field. So would you like to start off, Ludovic, by telling us a bit what you do?
My name is Ludovic Baudin. I'm from France. I work very closely with the French ecosystem through France AI. I work on investment, specifically at a European level, related to what we call applied AI, so the application of AI for healthcare, mobility, and environment. And at European level, we created an alliance that got announced last year with Peter Altmaier, the Ministry of Economy of Germany, Cédric Villani, which is the Mr. AI for France, mathematicians, and behind the France AI plan. So we announced an alliance called the European Applied AI Alliance, which involves the 7 countries. So France, Germany, and the Nordics. So Netherlands, Denmark, Finland, Sweden, and Norway. Wow. And through this organization, we represent about 11 different kind of groups, researcher on one side, large companies and large families on the other, who usually are the champions of AI in their respective country.
That's very interesting. Thank you. So, Lydia, I thought you were going to speak to us a little bit about the social impact of an automation that AI has introduced, and also from an ethical point of view, what you're seeing in the industry.
I'd be happy too. I can introduce myself first a bit, though.
Definitely.
Great. So I'm Lydia Barbara. I'm actually not from the EU, as you can tell by my accent, and also the fact that I'm from the Isle of Man. So I'm the chair of Digital Isle of Man, which looks after the digital economy for the island. I'm also the founder and CEO of a residential real estate startup that uses AI, and I'm on the advisory board for Casino Coin. So as mentioned, I am interested in the ethical and social implications of AI.
Great. Maybe you want to elaborate slightly further on what you do?
On what I do. Yes. Well, that's pretty much it. So Digital Isle of Man will look after the data strategy for the Isle of Man. So of course we are looking very closely at what is happening across Europe and of course China and America. And there's some very, very different movements happening in all three of those areas.
Thank you, Lydia. So Mariella, maybe you want to introduce yourself and speak to us a little bit about the AI guidelines?
Yes, I'm Mariella Baldacchino from the E&S Group. We're firms advising and assisting, providing legal support to businesses that set up in Malta and in AI's field as well. We are following very closely what's happening locally through the government strategy as well at EU level, predominantly, of course, keeping awareness of what's happening in China and US as well from an AI point of view. From an EU point of view, we've seen the guidelines published by the Commission, so we're seeing a drive for a more lawful approach to AI and businesses offering AI, robustness in the technical standards of the AI, as well as, more importantly, ethical as well. We do understand that there is a personal side and a customer side, data, GDPR elements, how all these inner businesses that carries out AI. What we want to do is, together with the government, we want to promote Malta and offer solutions and innovations, possibilities and growth and development for these new businesses. So the more we are aware, knowledgeable, ethical, we can advise further and help out these businesses to launch safely.
Mm-hmm. Great. So speaking of GDPR, data privacy laws, how do we navigate these waters with the introduction of AI? Does the panel have any comments on this?
I think GDPR, we've seen the anniversary recently. So first, there's of course, feedback, pros and cons, success and failures in it. An element of data privacy and data protection will have to be mirrored in an AI environment for sure. Without maybe stopping the innovation, maybe identifying ways of how it can rope in, but definitely the GDPR is there. The data privacy is an element that needs to be taken into consideration in businesses where you're collecting so much data, predominantly maybe in the information you give to the user, which data is actually being collected, how it's going to be used. So that level of transparency will have to, I think, be imposed even at an AI business.
Okay. So Wayne, would you like to introduce yourself and maybe
Yes.
give us Malta's take on the advent of AI?
Okay, good morning. First of all, thank you, Beverly. It's always a pleasure being here on stage. I am the CTO of the MDIA, but I'm also the chairman of the Malta.ai task force, which Honorable Shkembri, our parliamentary secretary for digital economy, set up last year in November after the MDIA was set up a month before that, when we launched our regulatory framework for blockchain. And in November, when the task force was set up, we started working towards a national AI strategy. In March, we published a policy which will lead us to this strategy, where we identified a number of strategic enablers and strategic pillars. And maybe today I will focus a little bit on one of the enablers, which is the legal and ethical framework, which is key also to realizing our vision, which is that of making Malta the ultimate AI launchpad, where we are saying, listen, established companies, micro-enterprises, startups, which would like to come here to Malta, design, develop, test, implement, and then scale their projects here, and once they're happy, they can springboard them to the world. And I think all the enablers are key, but the legal and ethical framework, which is very much related to today's panel, is also very important. And 3 of the objectives within that enabler are of articulating a national ethics framework, expanding our existing regulatory framework, the innovative technology arrangement and services, and thirdly, exploring regulatory sandboxes. And maybe after my second intervention, I will delve a little bit deeper into these 3.
Great, thank you. Ludovic, can you tell me what's happening from your jurisdiction in terms of AI? Is there something similar to the Malta Digital Innovation Authority? Have there been any efforts?
Yeah, I think it's actually extremely interesting, and I'm very happy to be here. One of my connections to Malta is actually through the blockchain. I'm an early investor in Chile's Socios, which was started by also a French fellow who's been in Malta for many years, Alex Dreyfus, who used to be in iGaming also. So I think what Malta has done for blockchain is obviously demonstrated a very strong result already. And I think the fact that Malta is about to do the same on AI is very promising, so I'm very happy to be here. In terms of the country that belongs to our alliance, so France, Germany, and the Nordics, Finland, a few friends also in the room from Finland here. All these countries actually have an AI national plan. All of them, so France was actually quite a pioneer also in that regard. All these countries have a pretty strong budget committed at national level toward AI. We're talking in Finland, for example, which is probably the most remarkable country of 5 million inhabitants, about above $3 billion committed by the government to invest in AI. I think the regulation is very important, and you guys have been at the forefront for blockchain. But I also think data is key. Yeah. So what kind of data you're going to make available for potential startup who wants to actually use Malta as a launchpad? Every hub, we call it hub, every hub in Europe that we're working with, we tend to market them as a specialist in one of the vertical. So for example, France, because of the very strong background with a pharmaceutical company, very large database in terms of healthcare, we probably have one of the largest and cleanest source of data at patient files level. That's really much a specialty. Finland, I think, also wants to be a launchpad, for example, for transportation. So a lot of autonomous driving car company are going to use Finland as such. So I think what I would be very interested to hear today and in the following days and weeks and months is beyond the regulation, how Malta is going to market itself to the rest of the world. So is it going to be about healthcare? Is it going to be about mobility? Is it going to be about environment?
This is a very good start.
Yeah. Second thing is, I think there is a huge competition right now worldwide to attract talent. So I spend about 40% of my time in China, and well, we're talking about $150 billion right now being committed to invest in AI. So it's quite a lot of funding. Huge competition between each province in China and each cities in China. You got cities who literally commit $15 to $20 billion at city level just to attract talent. We'll give a few $1 million of grants just to attract the best talent. So beyond regulation, I think there is a clear competition right now for data, for funding. And I think being part of an alliance and thinking beyond a country, such as France, thinking beyond France, or Germany, thinking beyond Germany, but working as a group, I think that's really the, I would say, the only chance Europe really has today in comparison to China and USA. Just one number to make it clear, about 90% of the investment made into AI into the last 18 months has been made between China and USA. And more than 50% of that has been made in China, and more than 50% of the investment made in China has been made in companies that actually locate in Beijing. Okay. So it's a huge concentration of data, funding, talent, and research right now.
Thank you. So what's the climate like in the Isle of Man in this space, Lydia?
A bit rainy. So yeah, sorry. So we have adopted a strategy of being a fast follower when it comes to things like this. We're a very small jurisdiction, population-wise and geography-wise. So as I mentioned, we're watching very closely to what the other jurisdictions are doing. I actually think it's fascinating how different the approaches have been in China and the US and Europe in terms of funding and in terms of just their general approach to it. I mean, in America, a lot of the work is happening in the tech giants. The tech giants are driving the direction of what happens with AI. And only just recently has a bill been proposed to Congress, the Algorithmic Accountability Bill, which takes a look at bias in AI. And in China, of course, the government has said that they want to be the global leaders of AI by 2030. And Europe seems to be positioning themselves as the ethical guardrails or the ethical policemen. And GDPR was basically the beginning of that. And I worry a little bit that the EU will start to slide behind some of the others, because on the one hand, it's wonderful that we do have people concerned about the ethics of this, but on the other, they have to be at the forefront as well. I kind of think of it in terms of trying to catch a waterfall with your hands a little bit, considering the rate of acceleration when it comes to investment and improvements within algorithms at the moment.
Okay.
I absolutely agree on that. Like, I think in order to have a European sovereignty, we need to have a technological sovereignty, economical and societal sovereignty. Ultimately, the technological leaders are going to set the standard. Social level, societal level, and ultimately economical and political level.
Yes, and we need to ensure trust. So we need AI that is ethically designed and responsibly applied. And that is why we are saying, listen, we need a very good national ethics framework. We have also provisions in our regulatory framework for a national technology ethics committee as well. So the task force will be creating a mandate for that committee. And we were heavily involved and will be adapting the ethics guidelines for trustworthy AI issued by the high-level expert group of the European Commission. So we'll be adapting, and we were happy to see that they didn't stop just at the principles, but they delved deeper, and in fact they went into the assessment of the product, the AI product, which complies with those ethics. And that is very much in line with what we are doing here in Malta as part of the MDIA of certifying the technology. So when we're saying, listen, we are extending our framework also to AI in the coming months, we will be giving that peace of mind, that assurance that the software, the AI that is running, the product that is running and being consumed by users is complying with these ethical guidelines. And like I mentioned earlier, the regularity sandboxes are also very important, because then we can find specific use cases where we can invite companies and startups to try and test their products with certain exemptions, minimizing certain risks, for example. But at least they will have a space where they can flourish and build and continue building their products.
Thank you. So thank you all for your contribution. This was a very interesting panel. Please feel free to get in touch with the panelists and pick their brains about AI and regulation, both in and out of the EU. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fintech, Securities and Regulation. The financial services industry is pushing the envelope with regards to blockchain solutions, ETFs, and regulating an emerging digital financial infrastructure. Let's hear what the experts have to say. Kenneth Farrugia, BOV. Benjamin Grishti, KSI, Malta. John Matonis, Bitcoin Foundation. Jacek Czarnecki, Maker DAO. Moderated by Beverly Tonna, Blockchain Advisory.
Morning.
Hello again, everyone. So we're joined here by three exceptional panelists, as you have heard from their introduction. We have a mix of expertise from the banking regulatory side, from tax and legal side, and we'll be speaking about the most interesting or hot topic on the market right now, STOs. So we've seen an advent from a large interest in ICOs last year, shifting onto STOs this year. Fintech, securities, and regulation are really what's on everyone's mind lately. So I'd like to start off by asking you all, how was Fintech defined over the last decade, and how is it changing now?
Shall I start?
Definitely.
Right. Good morning, everyone. I'm Kenneth Farrugia. I'm the Chief Officer responsible for the business of the group. I sit on the group's executive board. I'm responsible for general business services, investment, and asset servicing. I sit as well on the boards, on the company's asset management subsidiary and investment scheme of the group. I am also the chairman of the board of Finance Malta, which is the national promotional body for the financial services industry. Finance Malta organizes events like this, both in Malta. We have a big conference coming up on the 5th and 6th of June, which will deal, amongst others, with blockchain and other relevant topics. But we also organize a significant number of events outside our shores, in the US, in Europe, as well as in Asia. Well, from a banking point of view, fintech is an interesting disruptor because we're seeing that the traditional banking domains, talking about the payment services space, looking at even lending, are being disrupted by fintech operators that are entering the market. Clearly, banks, and I can even sort of relate to this at Bank of Valletta. So the banks which offer a plethora of services do not really focus on one particular area of business because they have, they are traditional universal banks and service quite a number of sectors. They are unable to give a dedicated focus to one particular sector. And this is where we're seeing disruptors in the payment space coming to the market with tech-driven solutions, very innovative solutions, and entering into the traditional domains of banks. I think banks have realized rather late, I think they have been very lethargic in investing in technology, and we're seeing significant technological investment ramping up in these areas, big banks acquiring fintech companies, teaming up with fintech operators, because I think together they can work better. I think the gap that exists today is two-pronged. I think there's a gap on the governance side insofar as fintech companies are concerned. The regulations binding banks are much more onerous, in my view. And then there's the element of trust. I think banks still earn the trust of their clients, but I think there is a nice symbiotic fit between fintechs and banks, and I see a bright future for both operators in this space.
Thank you. So speaking about token generation events and banks, ICOs, STOs, and the advent of such, Joe, what do you feel like? How can you give an input on this, since you've been in this space very often?
Yes, thank you. Banking account side as well, with having those facilities, so you're able to make third-party payments, and it's just as easy for commercial banks to approach it the other way and to get into the crypto trading side of the business. So we're going to start to see this convergence, either the banks coming into crypto or the crypto exchanges, the large global ones, broadening out. And we're just in the very, very early stages of that right now. So with respect to STOs, I think the panel topic is much broader than just STOs. But having been part of the ICO wave that we saw in 2017 and 2018, what I've noticed is that companies really have three primary ways to raise capital. You can either sell equity, you can sell debt, or you can offer a utility token, which is what we saw in 2017. The regulators are fine in understanding the first two, but when it comes to the third one, there was really no clear box to put a utility token in. So they were playing catch up for the entire 2 years. They still have never really caught up, and I don't think utility tokens are dead. I think that utility tokens will have a place in the future, but it'll be a much more refined place and a different place with a lot of other criteria that has to be met rather than just throwing out a white paper. On the STO side, well, first let me talk about IEOs. IEOs are really ICOs that are just offered by the exchange. So you're seeing a lot of ICOs now turn into IEOs. STOs, which is security token offering, is really no different than what I mentioned in the first category with selling securities. So the problem that I see with STOs is that a lot of the proponents of STOs think that they're going to be having the same type of liquidity and mobility as ICO tokens. That's not really going to be true, because an STO is really just a tokenized variant of a real-world security in a certain jurisdiction. It comes